Welcome students of Form 2. Welcome to this video to be about green living. So this video is a part 2 of in total 3 videos I'll make that today, the third video, or tomorrow. And this video is about green living and it belongs to paragraph 3 of the chapter about impact on climate change on the global village and broadly speaking about the global village. So that's what this paragraph is about. And in this part 2 of 3 videos, I will talk more about the global village and especially how you can manage your green living into the global village. The learning outcomes are always important. In this section, you will learn to what will you learn in this section? Identify possible solutions to effects of climate change. So on our island, on our beautiful island of Curacao, what can we do to limit, to work against the effects of climate change? What can we do? What happens to recycled materials? So in my former video, I talked a lot about recycled materials and what you can do about them. For instance, with plastic cans. What can we do to recycle those materials? Well, recycling is a way of taking waste materials and reprocessing them so that they become a useful material or resource. So we're talking about waste, sushi, and we're making waste useful again and reprocessing them. Yeah, so we'll bring them to the bombini, to the recycling bin, and they're brought to a recycling plant, and in that recycling plant they're gonna reprocess them. Reprocessing means not putting it on at a landfill and just burning it, but reprocessing it to make a new product out of it. Yeah, that is what recycling actually is. Metals and glass can be melted and remolded to make products, and this uses less energy than making products of new non-recyclable materials. So this reprocessing takes less energy, and that's the whole point of it. This reprocessing takes less energy than making products from new non-recycled materials. And that's the whole point. That this takes less energy is the whole point why we are actually doing this. It takes less energy, and that is the point of this reprocessing, but else it would have no use. So we'll take waste that we collect here, for example, van de Bombini supermarket. Nós tomamos sushi aqui, and we reprocess it so it becomes a useful material or resource, something people can use. And this reprocessing takes less energy. Yeah, this melting of the material. So you melt the material, you remold it to something new, and this takes less energy than making products from new non-recycled materials. And in the end, it is better for nature than to recycle, than just to throw it on the landfill and create a new thing to replace it. Yes, and we see that more and more companies and more activities are aimed at this. So you see, for example, Limpi, that take plastic material, like you can see here, and they make it into a keychain. Keychains that else would have been made separately without the recycled material, because people buy keychains anyway. They use keychains anyway for Mangyabi. Yeah, but in this case, this is made out of recycled material, taking less energy than when it would be non-recycled material. And that's the whole point of it. Yes, and here you see what happens if you recycle meat. This is a sheet coming from the Coca-Cola factory. You see, yeah, you saw it was a flake, so you clean your bottle. Yeah. Then it's remade again. Then it's refilled again. Then you refresh yourself with it. Then you separate it again in the right kind of plastic. Then it's being recycled. You put it into the recycle bin and it starts over again. So the idea of recycling is that instead of creating non-recycled material, you take less energy by recycling, for instance, your plastic. And the Coca-Cola on our island promotes this way of thinking. Of course, not using it at all would be better in the end, but this of the two options, throwing it at the landfill and creating a new plastic bottle, or recycling it and using up less energy, of course, this is preferable. This is better than using non-recycled material. And this is the recycling process that you can see here, actually. So we said already, what happens to recycled materials? Recycling is a way of taking waste materials and processing them so that they become a useful material or resource. This can be a plastic bottle. This can be a plastic can made again. This can be a keychain. This could also be toys that you can make out of it. This can also be a whole house. You can make building blocks by which you construct a whole house made of recycled plastic. There are also companies on the island of Curacao who try to do this. So recycling is a way of taking waste, tumasushi, and reprocessing them so that they become useful material or resource. So Kiko Tapasa, two recycled materials. They take waste material and they use them so that they become useful material or resource. So recycled becomes usable again, usado. So recycled paper, for instance, por ejemplo, is largely used to make paper products. You take your paper, yeah, I have paper here, you take your paper, and instead of throwing it into the bin or bringing it to the landfill, you bring it to a special paper recycling station, something we still miss on the island of Curacao. So recycled paper, we can make paper products out of them. The main advantages, ventaja, da una reducción de cantidad de palo noble. Ja, dus the main advantages are a reduction, pagamento, in the amount of new wood, a quantidad de palo noble. The main advantages are a reduction in the amount of wood that needs to be gathered by felling trees and related decrease in the amount of energy that needs to be used. So when we use recycled paper, like you can see here, when we use recycled paper, like you can see there, the main advantages are a reduction in the amount of new wood that needs to be gathered. So when we use paper for our printers or for our exams or for our assessments or tests, like you can see over there, like we use this kind of paper, less wood, like you can see here, needs to be cut down. And that's pretty important already because wood is very important for our planet, for the creation of our air. We need air as human beings, and trees, among other things that they do positively, is create the air that we breathe. So the main advantages are a reduction, pagamento, in the amount of new woods that needs to be gathered by felling trees and related, so reduction in the amount of new wood because you don't need to fell so much trees, and also the related drop, danificading pagamento in a amount of energy, a quantidad de energía that needs to be used. So you can fell less trees need to be felled, something that happens here. And also you see a drop, pagamento, pagamento, a decrease in the amount of energy that needs to be used. So that's also the drop of energy that needs to be used is also very positive because energy that needs to be used sometimes comes from oil, sometimes comes from coal. Often it's something that creates more pollution into the air, so less energy. It's also good for nature, good for our environment, and also good for our money also, because it costs less money. Yes, so you see next to me, recycled paper. When you recycle paper, like you can see here, when you recycle paper, like you can see here, there's less new wood needed, like you can see here. And thirdly, there's less energy needed. There's a drop in the amount of energy. Yeah, so you can see them here. First, there's you recycle paper. Then less wood is needed, that you can see here. And thirdly, there's less energy needed, like you can see here, like you can see here, or like you can see here. So indirectly and directly, these things are related. The use of energy, the use of wood, the use of recycled paper are related. And so you see that things that might not be connected at the first sight, at the second glance, actually, looking the second time, you see that they're actually connected, and the one can influence the other greatly. There's a significant influence of recycled paper and the amount of energy worldwide and on our island and in the kingdom. I hope this video is very helpful. If you have questions about something I told you, ask me below. And I talked about the learning outcomes, and you have to identify, so that's the learning verb, and what the possible solutions to what? The effects of climate change. And we talked about 1, recycling plastic, and 2, we talked about recycling paper. And we've seen that directly and indirectly it has huge and significant consequences for the use of new plastic and new paper, the use of trees that we cut down, and both of them have a huge influence on the use of energy. Yeah, so these things are all connected to each other, and the use of energy is again connected to climate change, global warming. If you want to subscribe, you can do that by clicking on the bell, and the bell will be rung when I make new videos. If you have a question, you can also do that below, or just asking a question during my lessons. For now, a very well meant goodbye.